I was like, you know what? You need to get off of my property. You need to get off my property. And I did tell that bitch. I told her to get off my damn property too. And, I was upset and irritated and I probably cussed, more than I should have. But, and the cop tells me, well, I'm going to take you to jail. What are you going to take me to jail for? What are you going to take? I have a constitutional right to freedom of speech. What are you going to take me to jail? Well, disrupting the public. I don't see nobody outside. Nobody's outside. Nobody's complaining about me standing out here defending my family. So what are you going to take me to jail for? You going to threaten me with something else? Go ahead. Threaten me with some more bullshit. Because I know how you crooked assholes are. So they couldn't take me to jail. He just kind of rolled his eyes, And of course, my oldest son, is trying to bust through the front door. That's... Sorry, it was funny. He was trying to bust out the front door. You can't take my mom to jail for freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech. That's the First Amendment right. He was going off. My daughter's trying to pull him back in the house. So they leave. And I call her back. Well, so they leave because she was going to take my kid. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I don't know what to do. I was like, CPS is here to try to take Vanessa. And my mom was like, well, maybe you should just call her back and try to reason with her. I was like, well, she never left a card. She didn't leave anything. I don't have no way of contacting her. And at the time, I didn't even know her name. She didn't even give me her name. So I had no idea who this lady was. She didn't even give me her name. Even the first time, she didn't even tell me her name. So, she didn't leave no card, nothing, no paperwork. There was no paper trail whatsoever. None. Nothing. They didn't leave shit to show that they were there. So my mom was like, well, hold on. She's like, your sister's calling me. So my sister was calling my mom. My mom clicked over and my mom told me that she thought, well, maybe, this asshole knows. My mom knows how my sister is. So she asked my sister, do you know the number to the caseworker that just showed up to Cindy's house? And she goes, oh, yeah, her name's Kiana Alexander. Here's the number. Why would my sister know that already? Why the hell would she know that already if she didn't have nothing to do with it? So I get the number and I call this stupid thing back and I tell her, look, so what if my husband leaves, and you leave the kids with me and then we work through this and when this is all said and done, then, everything, whatever. She's like, well, I have to talk to my supervisor. I said, okay, well, do I need to take my husband to his dad's house? What do we need to do? Oh, no, he needs to stay there just in case I need him to sign paperwork. And I'm like, okay, so now you're telling me you want him to stay here? So I was like, okay, well, he has an appointment the next day. So, what do you want me to do? And she's like, well, just let him, he needs to stay there because I need to be able to know if I'm going to have him sign paperwork or whatever. I need to know where he's at, so he needs to stay there. So I said, okay. Well, the next day, I took my husband to his doctor's appointment. It was about 9 a.m. in the morning. About 9:30, 10 o'clock, we're about ready to head back to Stafford. So I call her, and I said, have you heard anything from your supervisors? She says, no, I haven't heard anything yet. And I said, well, do I need to drop my husband off at his dad's house? She says, no, you need to go ahead and take him back to your house. He needs to go ahead and stay there in case I need him to fill out paperwork. So I'm like, okay, well, just, let me know. Keep me informed. So we get home. That is the last I heard from this woman. I didn't hear nothing else from this woman. Next thing I know, April 3rd, Child Protective Services show up at my house with 10 police officers, people. 10 police officers shows up at my house and 2 caseworkers I never met in my life telling me that they have a court order to take my children, all 4 of them. Not just my daughter anymore. And I said, are you fucking kidding? You better just take your little minions and get the fuck off my property. I was like, you're not taking my kids. You're not taking them anywhere. Well, we got a court order. I said, well, where's the court order? We don't have to show you anything. We have a court order. And I said, bullshit. I said, take your shit and get the fuck off my property. You're not taking my kids. So I've got these 10 cops out here threatening me, moving in on me like I'm some sort of criminal, try to use intimidation, and I put them motherfuckers in their place quick. You are not going to intimidate me, bitch. Not when it comes to my kids. And I had my youngest son in the vehicle with me when I pulled up to the house and saw all these fuckers surrounding my house. My son witnessed everything. And so they left. They tell me, well, we're going to go get a writ. And we'll be back. And if you're not here, we're going to put out an Amber Alert for kidnapping your children. How the fuck you going to get me for kidnapping my own children, lady? I have full custody of my children. So they leave. They claim they'll be back Monday. So they leave. Well, then I go in the house with my youngest son, and we're in the house, and I'm like, okay, guys. I was like, here's what's happening. And so I explained to everybody what was going on, and told them, be prepared. We're going to have a big old fight. And I don't mean fight like physical fist fight or whatever, but it's going to be a fight, whether it go to court or whatever. So shortly after they leave, not even 5 minutes after these people leave, my sister shows up out of nowhere. I'm like, okay, So we go outside, or I go outside, and she's telling me, oh, well, I got this lady I need you to talk to, and blah, 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 blah. Her name was Kelly Reynolds. And I'm like, what is she going to do for me? Well, she can help you. So I start talking to this lady. Biggest mistake, the stupid, and of course, I'm an idiot at this point for even listening to the dumb bitch. But she was all telling me, you need to just surrender your children. You need to just surrender your children. Bitch, I ain't surrendering. Those are my kids. There's no abuse going on. Nothing going on. It's my psychopathic sister. The one that's sitting here in the car that has your number. Come to find out, Kelly Reynolds was the supervisor to Kiana Alexander. Why the hell would my sister have that information? Why does she have this information? So I'm freaking out like, what the fuck? I start putting two and two together. Before I could turn around and get in the house, when I start to walk away from my sister, because it's clicking in my head, and I'm like, fuck. She pulled her shit again. She's doing this again. And I knew it deep down inside. I just didn't want to believe it. I was hoping that maybe she had, you just don't think about things. So I start walking to the house. Well, 8 cops and the 2 caseworkers show up. The chief of police of Stanford gets out of his car and tells me I need to stop walking, or he is going to shoot me or tackle me. And I'm just like, really? By this point, I was like, oh my God. So I stopped and I turned around. I said, you're not taking my kids. You're not taking my kids. And he says, oh, we're taking your children. I said, no, you're not. You're not taking. He says, we got a writ. And I said, where's it at? I don't need to show you. Just know we have it. You have to show me the proof of it. You can't expect me to just go off of your word, because y'all motherfuckers lie. Every single fucking one of y'all. CPS, police, judges, all y'all motherfuckers lie. So I was like, no. I was like, you're not taking my kids. And I even have I did have partial video until my sister deleted it, of the police showing up. Well, then he tells me, look, here's the situation. We're getting your kids. You're either going to let us in willingly, or we're going to kick your front door in. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? So at this point, I'm scared for my kids' life. I'm scared for their lives. I'm not sure what they're going to do. So I'm like, fuck. I was like, look, can you just allow just one cop and a CPS worker to come in my house? No, we're all coming in. We're all coming in. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? You piece of shit bastard. So 8 cops and 2 caseworkers push in behind me in my house and start screaming at my kids, telling my kids to get their things together, that they have to leave. And I'm standing there behind the couch. I'm in shock. I'm like, what? My oldest son, he was 17, about to be 18 in June. And this is April. So in a couple months, he was going to be 18. He says, I'm not going any fucking where with you people. He's like, I'm not going with you. You're not taking me nowhere. And the chief of police himself tells my son, if you don't go, I'm going to take you to jail. How are you going to threaten the child that's already traumatized? You know what I mean? They're being ripped away from her good parents, and you're going to threaten to take him to jail, you piece of shit. So the bastard, they took my kids, and I ended up passing out again. My blood pressure was skyrocketing, so I passed out again. And while the fucking ambulance is sitting there treating me, they're escorting my kids out the door. As soon as they got my kids out the door and placed in the car, then they handed over the paperwork to my husband's nephew. I was pissed. And the ambulance kept telling me, we recommend you go to the hospital. We recommend you go to the hospital. I was like, I can't. I need to be here. I was like, I need to be here. And so I got out of the ambulance and came back in the house, and I just lost it. I broke down so bad. And then from then on, I was dealing with lies. They claimed that the reason they took my boys was because they started saying that my boys were making allegations of abuse, which was bullshit. And they split my kids up. They put my 2 oldest ones in a group home in Fort Worth, Texas, and put my 2 youngest ones in a group home together in Killeen, Texas. They split them up. And And then 3 days after they took the kids is whenever Kiana, the original caseworker, calls me and tells me everything. And I tore into her ass and said, you ghosted me for 2 months, lady. You came out February 18th. You said you were closing the case. You were gone. March 17th, you show up. Tell me you're taking my kids. And then you leave and I don't see you for a whole month almost again. You ghosted me twice. No investigation. Nothing. Allegations is all they had. Allegations. And I tried to show them the evidence. I tried to show them everything. And they screwed me. So from then on out, I fought and fought and fought. I got my boys back. They gave me my boys back. But they placed my daughter in a foster home. I got my boys back on April 21st. The judge gave them back. Gave my boys back. But they wouldn't let me have my daughter back. And so they never set me up services. Never. They only called whenever they wanted to come see my house. That was it. They never checked on my boys, nothing. They didn't care about my boys. They only wanted my daughter. And so time starts to go by. I've got my boys. They're supposed to be kept away from their dad. Not supposed to have anything to do with their dad. By this point, they've made my husband leave, so it's just me. They told me that I wasn't allowed to, take my boys over to my mom's, and I couldn't take my boys anywhere. So I was supposed to be just held hostage in my house with my boys. I wasn't allowed to have them anywhere. So I struggled emotionally. My boys struggled emotionally. They weren't allowed to have any contact with their dad. Their dad missed birthdays, holidays. CPS lied numerous times. They never set up services. So when we had our hearing in August, we had a hearing in August. They tried to say that I wasn't completing services, blah, blah. Well, they never set them up, and they admitted that in court. They admitted that they never tried to set up services. So the judge said I didn't have to do the services. Well, in June, they cut my visitation off with my daughter. I haven't seen my daughter since April, and I haven't talked to her since June. So they cut off the day after I had a visitation with her. They come up to my house and tell me that my daughter has requested to not have any visitation with me, which I thought was funny because the visitation that I did have with my daughter the day before was perfect. She was talking about wanting to come home. And I think that's what it was. She was trying to, and I know she's tried to recant. I know she's tried to tell the truth several times, and they've manipulated her and bribed her, because I know how them people work. So they cut off my visitations just out of the blue. So I don't know what to do at this point. I'm so just destroyed and hurt. I feel like a piece of me is missing. Well, then August, after the hearing, the judge said that I didn't have to, do the services because they never set them up, and that they weren't allowed to hold that against me. Well, apparently back in June, they also went behind her, but we didn't even know charges were being brought. So in June, I think it was June 29th, the Stanford Police Department pushed the issue, and they ended up getting an indictment on my husband with zero evidence, people. Zero evidence. There is zero evidence. We didn't even know they were doing this. We had no idea. None whatsoever. Well, my husband ended up becoming homeless around June, July, somewhere around there. Him and his dad got into it because he was staying with his dad. And so he's homeless. He's living on the streets. Well, sometime in August, it was around August 24th, I think. It was a Friday. I don't remember the exact day, 23rd or 24th. I was over at my mom's house. By this point, I was able to go and, be around family and have the boys around family. So my husband, I don't want to get into it because I've still got pending charges. But anyway, we were my sister had been calling the police every week. Every time she'd see my car at my mom's house, she would call the police saying that my husband was there. Police would come over, my husband's not there. Police would come over, my husband's not there. Well, on this specific day, she called the Crime Stoppers, because apparently they had a warrant out for his arrest, and they had the Crime Stoppers fee or whatever. And so the state police shows up, knocks on the door, blah, 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 goes through the process. I can't speak of it because I'm still got pending charges and I don't want to incriminate myself. But anyway, so they arrest my husband, and then they take me to jail for hindering the apprehension of a known felon. Well, I go to jail and I get out. That Monday, CPS, or my sister, called the Adult Protective Services on my mom, saying that my mom was being neglected and starved and abused. So the Adult Protective Services shows up at the house. Well, she has this other caseworker. Well, I've gone through about 6 caseworkers at this point, so I have no idea who my caseworker is. And this other lady shows up with the Adult Protective Services, saying, that there was allegations coming in that people were stabbing rats with ice picks, starving my mom. My mom's like, "You're full of shit. None of that shit's going on." They even questioned my boys. When I was standing right there, I refused to let them question my boys without me present, because they are manipulative pieces of shit. I've already committed perjury on the stand. I mean, they have lied in documents. They've fabricated evidence, falsified evidence too at this point. By this point, they've already done all that. And so she said, she introduces herself, "I'm Adult Protective Service, blah, blah, blah. This is my colleague." She doesn't tell me who she is. Doesn't even tell me her name. Doesn't tell me who she is. So they question the kids, and I tell them, I said, "Are you taking my kids again?" And she says, "No." So I was like, "Okay, well, y'all need to leave, blah, blah, blah." So they leave. So I go to pick up my oldest son from work. I'm on my way back. I get a call from them telling me I need to come back to my mom's house so they can take my boys. And then if I don't, that they're going to send the police after me for kidnapping my children. Because at this point, I had the children on monitored return, and they had temporary conservatorship over my boys, which is bullshit. They've used my boys the whole time to manipulate me to do things for, in reference to my daughter. The services weren't even for my boys. They were for my daughter. Everything was for my daughter, but yet they took my boys so that they could have a means to control me. So they come, and I get back there, and I have a video of it. I've posted it online already. And they take my boys. So I get a hearing September 30th. They were gone for a whole month. They knew, okay, they were going to strip my rights from my daughter. They knew this, but they took my boys, even though they wasn't planning on taking my rights from my boys, just my daughter. So they knew that they were going to be splitting up this family. So they took my boys, and they placed them in the same foster home as my daughter, knowing that they were going to be ripping them from her. So September 30th, I get my boys back. My daughter hates me by this point, because they've told her that I didn't want her, that I hated her, and that I wasn't fighting for her. I've been fighting every second of every day for that. So I get my boys back. And then they tell, just a few weeks ago in October, or no, it was this month, November, I get a call saying that they're closing the case. But the kicker is, they told me that they weren't going to release my boys or close the case unless I signed my rights up and relinquished my rights willingly to my daughter. So I had to make a choice. Either let my boys suffer or sign my rights away to my daughter. They made me choose between my own kids. I called my attorney, asking my attorney if there was anything I could do. She said I can work the services, but they won't release the boys. They won't do anything unless you sign your rights away. I told her that I wanted to petition the courts. She said I can't petition the courts unless I participate in services. Unless I cooperate with CPS, she's not going to participate or petition the courts. So I didn't have anybody to help me fight for my daughter. This whole time, everybody was against me trying to take my daughter away on behalf of my sister. My sister, they've had communication with her every second of every day. They've told her everything about the case. She had all updates about everything. And I think she's going to be the one to adopt my daughter. So they terminated my rights. They finally closed the case down. And now they're telling me that they want to do sibling visits. That she has requested sibling visits. What are they trying to do? My boys, they've got social anxiety. They've got separation anxiety. I had to take them out of public school. They forced me to put them in public school, and I had to take them out of public school because they couldn't handle being around. They were so scared, and they're scared now. They're so scared that these people are going to come and take them away again and place them in a horrible place like they did. These foster parents that my daughter's with, that they place my boys with, the father drinks all the time. He's triggered easily if he's got PTSD really bad. So if he hears any loud sounds or anything, he snaps. The foster mother admitted that she was on pills, and it was the only thing that was keeping her from snapping and going crazy. So how are you going to place children with that? You're going to take them out of a perfectly good home and place them in a fucking psychopath home? I've called everybody. Nobody wants to help. I keep getting railroaded. They've committed perjury. They've lied. They've fabricated, falsified evidence. And they're still trying to charge my husband with these crimes. There's no evidence whatsoever. Everything, I have all the proof, and they won't fucking listen to me. So now I've lost my daughter. I've lost my angel. There's no justice in this. They didn't even do an investigation. They still have not questioned my husband and gotten his side of the story. They haven't done it. He wasn't even talked to the entire time the case was open. He's never been questioned. Never been talked to. Nothing. They have not done no investigation whatsoever. There's no justice in this. And how, the CPS allows allegations to come in that are anonymous. That's a violation of our constitutional rights. They violated my constitutional rights. They violated due process. They violated so much. So much. I have everything written down. I just can't think right now. But they've violated so much. They've destroyed my family so much. And nobody will do a damn thing about it. Not one person. They're all in it. They're all in on it together. They're a domestic terrorist organization. They're the #1 child traffickers. They're the #1 child abusers. They violate constitutional rights. How are they still able to be operational? I'll tell you how. Because they make the money. They make the government a lot of money. And they're a multi-billion-dollar organization. They are a foreign organization. Lawyers work under a foreign law. I mean, it's the Bar Association, the Lawyers Bar Association, the Child Protective Services. That's all Europe. That's European. Oh, it's so stupid. We have foreign organizations coming over here and taking our children. We have no rights. It's all a fucking illusion. Because if we had rights, they wouldn't be able to come onto our private property that we own, come into our house and take our children and tell us what the best interests of our children are. You don't know shit. You don't even have children. Most of you. Most of you don't know a fucking thing about children or how to raise them. And then you have the audacity to come in and tell me that I'm a bad parent. Bitch, you don't know shit. You're the abuser. You cause more harm to these children than what an abusive parent can. You put them through more hell. You don't care about the children. And I will say this. This is the last thing I'm going to say before I post this. It's an hour long. This is an hour long message, but I got my message out. But I will say this. We, the parents, are coming for you. So keep your fucking hands off our children, CPS. Fuck you. Go to hell. Because we are coming for you and we are going to take you down.